Check one, check two. Check one, check two with the off. Now back on again. Check one, check two. All right, we're going to turn that music down a little bit and see if we get some audio here as well. There we go. Shouldn't be too loud. Should be pretty reasonable right now. And I can actually do a little bit of gain right here. Input road. Input road. Is that going up or down? I think I got to go down to go up. It's kind of weird how it works. Yeah, I got to go down to go up. Then go that way. Alright, so now it's at 100% or 00 dB. And then we can see how that sounds. It should be sounding pretty good. All right. Oops. All right. There we go. A little bit better. So now I can just do this. Do that. Check it one, check it twice. Tech explain. Okay, so I'm just gonna see what happens. so what I'm going to do. Oh, sure. Hold up a minute. Hey, guys. Oh, yeah, check us out. Yeah, I'm talking in this microphone here, so, yeah. Okay, so, hey guys. Let's get back into the video. Let's go into this. All right, guys, welcome to Tech Explained, another episode that we're going to basically answer your questions live on the air. Got a couple questions that came in past couple hours, and I thought I would go ahead and start off with those and see if you guys have any other questions that I can answer live. The biggest one that came in was from a user on Facebook, and they wanted to know how they can back up their phone and all the photos that are on their phone and their devices. And I basically told her that there's a couple different ways that you can do this. The first one is to make sure that you are using the synchronization services of these phones. One of those is either Apple Photos or Google Photos. And in Google Photos and Apple Photos, you have the option to synchronize both the full size and optimized versions of that. Now, I love photography. I love the video side of it, and I like the high resolution of things. So I keep the full size images backed up. This does consume more space, but for me, I'd like to be able to zoom in and do different things with the photos later. If you're not too concerned about that, you can always click on the optimize photos, and it will synchronize most of the photos that you haven't used offline onto Google or Apple. Now, you're wondering that now I've got it synchronized with Apple and Google. Now what do I do? Well, the first thing is you want to use that service as a synchronization service, not as a backup service. So that way you have peace of mind knowing that when you click on or when you use your device and you lose it, it gets lost, it's stolen, it's damaged, you drop it in a lake or something like that, then you have the ability to recover those pictures and you don't have to worry about the individual device itself. But I'm always a person of plan B, and what I like to do is I like to plan that if something happens to the cloud or something gets encrypted or somebody hijacks my account, they may take all those photos from me. So what I would suggest is backing those up into an external USB drive. And in Google Photos as well as Apple Photos, you have the export option. Make sure that at least once every 6 months that you buy one of those little external USB drives, plug it into your computer, and then you export those photos down onto that external drive. That way you have that keepsake. You can put it in your safe. You can put it somewhere that you know it's located. And I would suggest doing it on 2 devices, not just one, because everything fails eventually. So what you'll want to do is basically back that up to a secondary device. So I recommend swapping it out every 6 months. So every year you're getting at least 2 backups. With the most data that you can go back to, most data that you can lose is up to 6 months. So that way I would say January through June, do a backup of all of your data. And then once you take on those next 6 months, then back up those photos to another drive or all of your photos to a drive. And then after another 6 months, take that first drive back out of storage and copy all of your photos back over top of it. And then keep doing that. So the most that you're going to lose is 6 months or 5 months if you haven't backed that up properly. So it is easy to do. You don't need to hire an IT expert like ourselves, but you will want to at least walk through that process once or twice. That way, that does two things. You don't have to worry about your device. You don't really have to worry about where that's being stored. Let's find the right image there. You don't have to worry about where the files and folders are being stored. You know that if something happens to the cloud, your account gets hacked, that you still at least have those photos. Because what is worse than losing your phone or device, but losing your phone or device that only has pictures of your kids the last 5 or 6 years that you cannot replace? Those are priceless. Well, Chris, you say I can recover my data off of a device if it gets corrupt, right? You could. If you have the device and it's still intact, we can send that out to a drive recovery service, where they'll take the pieces apart, put it into a clean room, and see if it's this camera, that camera. I gotta figure these cameras out. Put it into a clean room and be able to resolder those chips onto a working board. But you're looking at thousands of dollars. And I'll give you a prime example. I had a customer come to me where he was working on his laptop. He had probably 2, maybe 3 terabytes of data that was on his laptop that was stored onto an external drive, because the laptop he purchased didn't have enough storage for what he needed to do. So he was working on on the couch with the external drive attached, and his dog went zoom right through his room, right through his living room, took the drive and spun across the floor because I guess it caught his tail, or the dog didn't even see the cord. Well, this was when the drive was running, so that immediately gouged the drives. They gouged the platters. So there was nothing I can do to recover that data, and the only way to recover his data was to send it out to a drive recovery place. Now, I asked him, did he have any backups? He's like, no, that was it. I said, that's your only backup of your files. It's the backup, it's everything of his files. I said, well, can you accept the loss of losing that 2 terabytes? He said, no, man, I got 4 years worth of work on there. And that's my client files. That's how I do business. I need those files. I need to be able to send him those files. So I asked him, I can send it out for an evaluation. That evaluation is going to cost a few dollars for us to, ship it and send it and all those things. It took a couple days, and they called us back and said, look, we can recover the data, but the platters are gouged. We have to do it in a clean room. And that's going to cost, are you ready for this? 2 terabytes. It cost $3,000 for him to recover those files. $3,000 because he didn't have a good backup. And because his dog did something unexpected and just zoomed through his living room and hit the hard drive, and it just went spinning across his floor. The customer was reluctant, but he did pay that $3,000. We got the hard drive back a little bit later, and we were able to give him his files to work from. He's since learned his lesson about making sure his files are backed up, and he is now making sure that he's using an online service like we talked about: Google Photos, Apple Photos, OneDrive, Google Drive. Those other services, remember I said earlier, they're synchronization services. They are not backup services. In fact, in Microsoft's agreement, their agreement, I believe it was 6A in the Microsoft End User License Agreement that you guys clicked on as you signed up for a service, actually says specifically, they are not in charge of your data. The customer is in charge of their data. They provide services, but any restoration or any recovery of that data is the client's responsibility, which means you're signing up for a service, you need to make sure that you have that data backed up, which is Apple and Google. Now, earlier we talked about OneDrive. We talked about Apple Photos, Google Photos. Those are just the photos to recover and to store stuff off of your phone in case you lose it, or your laptop. Apple Photos is really good because it synchronizes between multiple devices, and even those on the Android platform, it synchronizes between multiple devices. It works really well, but it's not a backup service per se. So make sure you're backing them up, not in OneDrive, but onto some sort of physical media, whether it's a memory stick, if you have only a few photos, or a larger external USB drive, or an external, spinning platter drive. I think for about $100, you can get away with, a couple terabytes worth of storage. Now, that also goes in line with the synchronization services. So a lot of people have asked me about OneDrive. Can I do the same thing on OneDrive? Can I just use that as a backup? And I'm going to tell them the same thing. It is a synchronization service. It is not a backup service, which means there's no cold storage of it. There's no archiving of it. There's no recovery if you delete something after 30 days. And there's no recovery should somebody hack your account and get into it. So with that being said, you should also look at a third-party backup service. If you don't want to use those external USB drives, look at a backup service that can back up those files for you. So, for instance, Microsoft has I think they just started a new backup service that'll allow you to keep up to 1 year's worth of data. But what happens when your kids are graduating school and you wanted pictures of them when they were a baby, and something happened along the way? You can't go back more than a year to get that data. So you need a way to make sure that that's backed up in a third-party service somewhere. So in the IT world, there are services that we can attach to your Microsoft account to back those things up. With OneDrive, even on the personal side, you could use that OneDrive service to synchronize your desktop documents and images. But again, it's only going to retain that data for 30 days. And for most people, that's okay. That's fine. But if you're talking things that cannot be replaced, like your kids' photos, that's not fine. I would also recommend that when you're traveling, if you're going to travel across the seas and you're taking your laptop that you've had for 3 or 4 years, or you're traveling out of the country, make sure that you have everything backed up on that computer just in case it gets lost or stolen, whether it doesn't make it through customs or gets squashed in the airport. You want to make stuff backed up. There's some other travel discussions that we could have a little bit later, but for right now, I'm just going to stick with OneDrive for backing up your files and photos. OneDrive for backing up your files. I guess it could back up your photos depending on where you stored it. Google Drive, some of you may know, it's somewhat similar to Dropbox. Google Photos, and of course, Apple Photos. Now, both of those photo systems, as we talked about, do have a sharing platform that you can actually share photos with each other on those. But that's still not backing it up. It's still not copying it down off the cloud. So I hope that helps answer any questions. And that hit the 2 questions that I wanted to express here and talk to you guys about. Is there any questions that you guys have? Let me take a quick look here on the social networks of choice and see what we have. Just bear with me as I open up the tabs. Okay, YouTube Studio, TikTok, not TikTok, so stream. I don't have access to that. Some technologies, yeah. And close the window. As you guys can see, we're still getting the hang of all this live streaming stuff, so appreciate your patience. And let's see if I have a chat. Content dashboard, there it is. Go live. There she is. All right, so no chats in there. Facebook's, let's see what Facebook's got going on. I think that's it. So yes. So if you're interested, so a question came in from Joe on Facebook. If you're interested in drive recovery services, we can help out with that. You could just get in touch with us by giving us a call or sending us a message on Facebook. Tell us about how much size, the size of the actual storage, if you know it. What happened to the drive, so we at least have an idea. Is it a water damage thing? Is it a physical damage thing? And about how soon you need it. Is it pressing? Are you in the photography business and your SD card crashed and you need it like tomorrow because the wedding's, you need to deliver your wedding photos by tomorrow? Or is it something that, yeah, I've been always wanting to do it, just never got around to it? Just let us know about that. All right. Let me check Facebook. What was the other question on Facebook? Hold on. The other question on Facebook was about photos, OneDrive. What was it? Hold on, let me scroll and find it. I'm not seeing it. Let's see if it's there. Okay, well, that's good enough. All right, guys. I think that's pretty much it for this quick go live. I appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the flip side. So yeah. All right, let's do this. Let's pause this.